Hey everybody, welcome to Pale in Comparison, a proud member of the Doof Network. In this podcast, my sister uses her knowledge of the Otherverse to take a look at Pact, Wildbow's least appreciated work, and I try to not give away any spoilers. I'm Jenny, and Malia convinced me to read Worm.
I'm Malia, and Jenny convinced me to read everything else. This episode, we are covering Conviction, chapters 5.3 and 5.4. Before we get into that, however, I'd like to issue a spoiler warning. This podcast is filled with pale spoilers. If you don't know if the trenchcoat mouse is actually a good guy and don't want us to tell you, stop now, read Pale, and come back to this podcast. As for Pact, there will be full spoilers to the chapters we are covering.
Man, if all the snippets you could have chosen. That's pretty funny.
You never know.
I like it. Yeah, and you'll just have to find out by reading Pale, y'all. I mean, or who knows, we might talk about him, so get ready to be spoiled on all the amazing trenchcoat madness. All right, I'm going to talk about the chapter summary. Chapter summaries, whatever. Blake attempts to escape, but is trapped in a looping staircase. With Rose's help, he shatters a window and jumps out the window, only to be looped into the staircase again. Duncan ends up confronting him. Evan sneaks behind Duncan, allowing Blake to escape from the window. Blake decides to go back inside to get his confiscated items. Evan leads Blake and Rose to his body, where they perform the familiar ritual. Try to escape again after the ritual, but this time Blake is caught and put in a cell. Evan does manage to steal an important item from Duncan, stopping the time changes. Blake is let free, and he makes a promise to return to the police station the next day.
Which is just such a fucking life choice. Like,
there's a lot of fucking life choices in this, man. Like, you know.
Yep, that's fair.
So Blake starts on his bold escape. With Rose and Evan's help, he attempts to get out of the police station, but is foiled by a looping staircase.
Sorry, I'm just like letting these chapters wash over me again. The first time I read them, I was like, cool, familiar ritual, yeah. And then when I was writing my notes, I was like, wow, I have a lot of fucking notes. I don't know if it's just like getting back into the swing of Pact and like having more, trying to connect more thoughts to different pieces of the story, or what, but I was just like, wow. So, I guess like the first thing that I took from this chapter was he's like, what is Blake Thorburn? And I'm like, Blake, you have to fucking focus. And he's like, oh. And then he's like, oh, presence. Like, I couldn't communicate effectively with Evan. And like that sentence, the first time I read it, just like broke my heart. I was like, no, like, Evan, you must talk to him. He loves you. So that was devastating. And I'm super happy that Evan is Blake's familiar. And I'm excited and nervous to see how this goes. But Evan is adorable. And
he's adorable.
Will die for Blake, except he can't, which is great because he would. Mm-hmm. But yeah, then we're going, and like the feathers was a lot. It wasn't until my second read through that I realized like how incredibly fucked up Blake is, because I just like the first time I just needed to know what happened, so I was going kind of quickly, and I was like, yeah, feathers, whatever. Okay, Blake, you're losing it. It's magic. I get it. But this time I was like, oh my god, you're losing it. Like, and I feel like there should be some very obvious metaphor coming to my mind about like Blake being a bird and like wanting to fly and wanting to be free. And I guess like as he continues to like lose his self by bleeding and then falling down the stairs a whole bunch, he's losing the ability to fly and be free with his feathers. It just like feels like it's some big metaphor like screaming in my face, and I'm not quite, but
I mean, I feel like that was a lot of, but there was a lot of bird imagery.
Yes, there's so many birds. And then there's the point where he jumps up and grabs one, and I'm thinking like can can Rose see the feathers? Like, is this just like Blake's like losing so much of his self that he's like sort of like half stepping into some sort of like other realm like and spiritual. Whatever. Yeah, because Rose doesn't comment on the feather, and he's like, yeah, I grabbed it and I like put it in my pocket to save it for later. And I was like, what? Like, was that a complete hallucination, or did he actually grab something and save it? And could Rose or Evan see it? I was also wondering if people could see the tattoos of like the beheaded birds or whatever, because like the Alexis, I think, commented on his tattoos being brighter. and asked if he had gotten them redone. And so I was like, oh, so like normies can see the changes a bit, like they notice. But I wonder, like, would Alexis see tattooed headless birds on his arms? Because I at least thought that that's what was happening, but it might have just been me reading too fast.
It's true.
She's like, neutral response. Okay. I also completely forgot that Rose wasn't physically present. I've been doing this. I do this a lot. But I've been doing this a lot where I'm like, what do you, like, why is Rose's voice, like, moving away from you? Like, what are you talking about? She's, like, right there. And I'm like, no, she's not right there, Malia. She's in a mirror. Like, she's in the reflections. Like, she's not there. And that was, you know, obviously really important in this chapter in terms of, like, trying to break things to hurt Duncan. And I just, like, when Rose is around, I never think of Blake as being alone, but Blake is alone. And it's nice that he has Evan. Yeah.
No, I was going to ask a question, but I think we'll wait until further on.
Okay. Oh, and then at one point, I think they're like running down the stairs or something is happening, and Rose is basically like, yeah, let's just fucking leave June. It's fine. And I was like, how dare you? Like, June has been there for you this whole time, and like, you would just leave her? And like, I don't remember. I should have gone back to see the wording and stuff with the promises to June. Because I think he said, like, I don't remember if he said, I'll try to make you warmer or whatever, but like, would straight up abandoning June be breaking a promise? Or would it just be lying?
Depend on the
Or
wording.
would it be anything? Right. Like, one thing I struggle with this in this universe is like, what is the line between a lie and a broken promise? And I think that's like something that a lot of people and characters and everything in this universe struggle with. Because like, if you say you'll do something and then you don't, that's a lie, but it's also sort of a broken promise, potentially. And the distinction between those things is incredibly important.
And I think also, I mean, the drama of if you're like swearing an oath versus you just say, I'm going to pick up groceries later, or I'm going to eat dinner in a few minutes. It's
sure.
Probably a little bit different than an oath, you know?
Yeah, it just, yeah.
Well, because the spirits like drama too, right?
That's true. I mean, I feel like there's definitely times where I'm like, that was obviously a promise or an oath. And there's times where they're like, oh, that was obviously just a statement. But I don't know. It's hard. Because I'm like, could leaving June mean that Blake is forsworn? Because like, if so, like that's, you know.
Well, if he has kept her warm before, maybe you could argue like he did keep her warm.
He did it. That's true.
If he says, I'm going to keep you warm every moment of the rest of my life, no matter what.
Right, that'd be dumb.
That'd be dumb. And that, yeah. But he said, I will do, if he said, like, I will do my best to keep you warm as I can. And that wouldn't be like he can.
That's true.
Which we could go back and look up the wording, but I'll see if I can.
But we probably won't.
We probably won't, but I'll see if I can find it real quick. And if I can't, then everyone will just be like, you guys were totally wrong about all this. So
it helps with the listener engagement to be totally wrong.
Yes.
I realized there was also something I wanted to say from the rest.
Looking up something?
Yes, and I found it.
Sweet.
But did you find the June thing?
Almost. So Rose says, if you agree to help, my friend can hold you, keep you warm, and you don't have to fight all. And then you can fulfill the bargain, keep that vessel warm.
Yeah, that's definitely not. I mean, yes, Blake can do that thing. So I guess he's good, but still. Ugh, June. Darling woman. But speaking of June and echoes, Blake and Rose talk a little bit about Evan and like what he is. And I do think that Evan is like more than just an echo, because echoes can't do anything outside of their script. Like June can't even move in a way that her programming kind of like doesn't have available. She just like jumps to the next place kind of, because it's like the Ben taught me a word about video games recently, like sprites, like 2D video games. The images of the character is just a whole bunch of different little still images that change to make it look like they're moving or whatever. So if like June's sprites doesn't have the like walking down the hill, she can't look like she's walking down the hill, and she just becomes at the bottom of the hill or whatever, which is really interesting. Because Evan can talk about things and can move in ways that he wasn't able to. And it does seem like there's something about Evan. He knows that he's dead, and he knows yeah, he's not just a manifestation of a traumatic moment, he is Evan. Which is really interesting, and I feel like we haven't really encountered this in Pale. I can't think of, I guess he's like more spirity than an Echo, but like it feels like most of the spirits are strong echoes or like combinations of echoes and other things, or like concepts,
wraiths.
not like like individuals or whatever. Like Edith, one of the like the GVC's components or whatever, is like a really strong echo of like a pyro girl, but it wasn't like her spirit literally or whatever. And there was like the manifestation of like candlelight vigils for someone who had died. Like that's not a soul. And it's really interesting.
Of, spirits. Yeah, it's like if you think of, it's like you have your ghosts, your echoes, and usually it's like if you have a stronger one, they're a wraith, but it's like Evan, the opposite.
It's like Evan is what I think of when I think of ghost in like
popular
our
media.
World thinks of ghosts. Ghosts are like the souls of people who remained on Earth for some unfinished business, and like that's not what echoes are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just really interesting. And then it leads to Rose saying actually using and leveraging a soul is a little different than using a ghost, by which she means echo. And it's just like really interesting. And I mean, I get that Rose like just showed up and there's this like child running around that Blake is like having him fetch things and do different things, and it's like a dead child and all that crap. But like she's not really taking his agency into account. Like June had the ability to consent to the agreement that she was in with Blake, which is really great. But like Evan definitely has the ability to consent in a way that's probably clearer. He can like ask better questions that Blake can understand. And they can communicate. And like it reminds me of in 16.1 when the Goblin Market is gonna start and they're waiting for Nicolette and Liberty to show up. Lucy mentioned, or they're talking about Liberty, and Toadswall is like, I wouldn't want to use her. And Lucy's like, I think we would want to use her. And like, I don't know, it reminds me of Kant. Like the categorical imperative is like, you should treat people not merely as a means, but as an end within themselves. But that doesn't mean like you can't treat people as a means. And I think the Kenneteers see people as ends within themselves, but they also see them as mean. Like they get a lot of use and utility out of the relationships that they have, but that doesn't mean that like they don't value those people. And so like with Evan, it's like I think Blake really, really values Evan. He sees a lot of himself in him and he wants to protect him and help him. But Evan also has a lot to give to Blake and the relationship, and he has a lot to contribute. And would be a huge advantage to Blake. And that's not immoral. Like that's not a bad thing to have Evan do those things, or ask Evan to do those things, or allow Evan to do those things, or whatever. Because you see it throughout these chapters, like Evan like comes back and fights for Blake and does things for Blake without being asked to do. He obviously like really cares about Blake and wants to do these things. And I mean, by the end of it, Rose is like, yeah, okay. And agrees to like, it's like, yeah, do this ritual or whatever. But it's, I mean, maybe she's just like, I mean, she's probably projecting in terms of like Rose seems to be more than an echo, Yeah. She's a vestige, so she's almost like a soul that never existed or something. But she obviously is resentful of Blake and is probably like, it's not cool to use this child. And I mean, I think it's good that Rose brought it up. Like, it is important, I think, to like question the morality of like what you're doing and what is happening. But I think I just was like kind of defensive of Blake's relationship with Evan and how good it seems to be.
Do you think she's I guess upset or jealous or that like she didn't get chosen as familiar?
I mean, okay, there's probably a bit of Rose that is a little bit miffed that Blake didn't ask, because I could see her wanting that, but I don't think she wanted to be Blake's familiar. I think she wants to separate herself from Blake and become more independent, not more connected. I think that I feel like it was mentioned somewhere about like her taking a familiar at some point. Like she went through the awakening ritual, and I do think she can channel. And so I'm not really sure. Like I think she envisions herself more as like a practitioner than an other.
What do you think? Because she kind of Do you think that she should have gotten more of a say in who Blake took as his familiar?
I mean, like in an ideal world, yeah. In an there's someone trying to keep me in this building, and if I remain in this building for the next 6 hours, my soul will belong to the embodiment of Conquest, who is losing his control on the city, and he will force me to summon demons for him. And this ritual will help us, and this kid cannot go too far away from his body, which is here in this building, and we have to fucking do this now. It seems a lot more reasonable.
Yeah.
But the fact that, I mean, it's obvious that Evan really does influence Rose. Like the three of them are tied and connected together. And presumably if Rose gets out of the mirror and ever is able to take a familiar, Blake will also, like, the four of them will be tied. Which is really complicated. And so I also think that, like, Rose would have agreed. Evan is sweet and adorable. One of the drawbacks about Rose being Blake's familiar is that wouldn't be an extra source of power. They'd have nothing else to draw power from. It would just be their, like, circular loop. So he's another power source. He's like the ultimate video game rogue or something. He touches doors and they just fucking pop open. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's cool. They were like, we're gonna have to get a really shitty, bad first one of these cool rituals because we don't have any power or anything to offer. And I think that Evan was a lot better than, like, basically anything else they could have done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, thinking about Rose, like, the last thing she remembered was breaking that window at the university. And then suddenly, like, to be in a jail and Blake is bleeding out on the floor and there's a ghost child and he's, like, running around bleeding. And falling down the stairs. Like, it is a lot. Rose frustrated me more in these chapters than she normally does. I'm normally very pro Rose, but I should probably cut her somewhat of a break. She hasn't been there for an arc. So True. Yeah. But just a lot of, like, interesting moral questions and love for Evan. My second big rantish thing in this section was the instincts came back, Blake and his instincts, and Rose being like, what the fuck? She says you really shouldn't trust your instincts if they're telling you to carve yourself up. But, like, literally, what else is Blake supposed to do? Like, he didn't have to go on that walk with Laird. He didn't have to go fuck with the Behames and Laird's, the Behames and the Duchamps, and fuck up that ritual thingy that blocked his house off. And otherwise, I can't think of any, like, real substantial choice Blake has had throughout most of this story. Yeah. So, like, you are in a jail, and again, the manifestation of Conquest, which is control of the city and losing power, and wants you to summon demons for him, will have your soul or whatever the fuck in, like, less than 24 hours if you don't get out and do some, like, ridiculously impossible task. So, while it is incredibly dramatic and bad, like, Blake doesn't know how to draw a fucking connection blocker. Like, Blake doesn't know how to do anything efficiently or well, and it's not really his fault. I guess he could have just stayed in the house and literally not left and read all the books. But the books didn't even tell him that he can't use sarcasm or how to draw a fucking connection blocker. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's rough.
Yeah. But thinking about Blake reading connection blockers, I guess I sort of have a question for you, Jen, at this point, if you can answer it. I mean, I really like seeing Blake. Like, Blake seems like an extraordinary practitioner in the sense that he's, like, extraordinarily fucked, whereas the Kenneteers seem to be fairly blessed. They have access to large amounts of power that other practitioners have access to, but through, like, histories of family accumulation and having to deal with their family politics. Like, Duncan can do some really cool shit here, but it's like he has the permission and support and resources of the family.
Yeah.
Like, normally he can't do this sort of thing. And I feel like these chapters have really helped me put the normal life of an average practitioner, if there's such a thing, into some perspective. And just, like, do you think that us pale first readers have a super skewed view of the practice in terms of, like, power levels and what practitioners can do or not?
For sure.
Because I mean, like, there was the school where everyone was like, wow, you can do so much, and that one dude like fainted or whatever. But like most of Pale is just like, look at these crazy banana shit. And you're like, yeah, cool. I mean, I feel like recently with Avery, it's starting to get a little bit more like, oh, please for Kenneth, like, please just do this for me. Like, it feels a little bit more like they're, and like with the power source from Thea and stuff, they're taking more of it into consideration, but it's still not like, I don't know. What Duncan does is really cool, but doesn't seem like anything on the level the Kenneteers do on like a semi-regular basis.
I mean,
other than turning back time, I guess.
I feel like these two books are like from the opposite ends of the spectrum. Like one, Blake has like a really shit deal and less power than you probably normally would, and really fucking bad karma, like more really fucking bad karma than you normally would. Whereas the Kenneteers, like, they get started out with like a really immense amount of power early on, and like you're saying, they don't have those connections, but they also don't have the obligations that they have to meet in order to get that power. And so I think both ends are kind of skewed in a way, because you don't really get to see what that middle is. But then again, like, what is an average practitioner? Is there an average practitioner? They're all kind of fucked. Like, even the Kenneteers are kind of fucked.
Yes.
You know, like, they have a lot of power, but they're in a bad position.
Right. And they are tied to a lot of promises and obligations, even if it's not the same family bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, and they have more, it's easier for them to be, I guess, more moral or do things the right way. Whereas like, it's like, it's like Blake is like started off as like a bad guy almost, even though he's not, you know, that's what the world is treating him as. So it's like, he's almost more incentivized just to say fuck it and be bad.
Right.
In some ways, because it's like, well, his karma's already bad. Like, you know, he can get a lot of power if he does certain things. So,
totally.
But like, obviously that would make the whole world and everything worse, and he's not a shit person. So he's doing things the absolute fucking hard way. And luckily, he's just seems to be built just for that. You know, seems to be able to handle that pretty well. But yeah, no, I think Pale readers are definitely like have a skewed view. But I also don't think it's quite as bad as people who read Pact the first time. You know, it's a little bit, and it's more in the middle there. But
yeah, well, I mean, I feel like in Pale, this was also mentioned in Pace, the idea of people being awoken and then just sort of like not really practicing anymore after a while. Like, you still have to tell the truth and stuff all the time, but in general, they just sort of like stop practicing. And to me, that almost feels like a quote unquote average practitioner. I mean, like, maybe still on the lower-ish end of the spectrum.
What do you mean by average? Like, that's not what most people do. I bet, like, as a practitioner, if you awaken, you're not just gonna be like, I'm just gonna not do anything, you know.
But
like, do you mean like a
like
mean or median or like?
Oh,
which I have to admit, I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah, mean is average, median is like the person who happens to be in the middle. I don't know. I just feel like there's probably a whole bunch of people. It's like there's really vocal people in the political spectrum who tend to be the more like extreme versions of whatever, because they're like really passionate about their thing, and so they're like really vocal about it. And there's a whole bunch of people who are like, oh, I don't know, and you don't hear about them. And I feel like there may be a decent amount of people who are awoke or whatever who are like, you know, that was really fucking scary, and I've decided that I don't really want to mess with it, and I've managed to like slowly fade out of this life.
You think there's a lot of people that are like that?
Well, I feel like if there are, we don't know about them because they don't matter.
So maybe you're right, but also, I don't know, I'm just like, think of the type of ways we've heard of people awakening, just in what we've read. Not even just with the protagonist, but even like the hypotheticals in the books that they've read and things, right? All the families and stuff. So a lot of these people were not in a great place to start with, or something happened and they're like having to, you know, blah, blah, blah. So like, even if they're, so like most of these people who are awakening, are probably going to be introduced to it by someone, I'm assuming. They're probably not just gonna like pull a ritual out of their ass and, you know, I mean, maybe if they've like read a magical book or did something, have this vision come to them and they'd end up doing it. But I think, in my opinion, even if there are a bunch of people, sure, that like are awakened and decide, I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole ever again. You know, I'm just not going to lie. There's a lot of people that have awakened in that circumstance that probably know other people that are also awakened, or others, or I don't know, that probably, just based on what we've seen, might not be the best people in the world, and maybe feel like they can take advantage by getting some power, doing some gainsaying, doing some, you know, all I have to do is catch someone in a lie, or catch someone, like, have them make a promise that they can't keep or whatever, and like they're gainsaid or forsworn, and that other person gets a free boost of power, or like I mean, there's probably a lot of different ways that they could be taken advantage of without those things as well, like just from other people in their lives that knew and maybe help them to awake. I mean, look at fucking Musser. Like, he was like, here, my loving son, go and try to get the Carmine throne. Good fucking luck with that shit. Just because kind of fucked up, so you're basically dead. You know, that's his fucking son. I mean, he's a piece of shit, but like, I mean, I'd say there's a lot of practitioners that, I mean, like Talia's mom.
Oh, God.
Who says she's the first daughter she's had. She might have. It is, but she might have had like quite a few dolls before her, you know. Who knows? But even if not, even if that is her first one, that's a terrifying, horrific thing to say to your daughter, or like an intend for your daughter. Be like,
right,
you better be good, or I'm gonna have this creepy ass doll take your place. And good fucking luck. I mean, if they're willing to do that kind of stuff to their own family, like somebody else, like a family or friend who awakens, then just decides like not to openly practice, like they're definitely gonna still try to take advantage, in my opinion. Especially like a lot of these practitioner families, you know, they're like, okay, well, we're gonna awaken our kids, and that way they can like keep going with the family name and still fulfill obligations and stuff. I mean, I don't think they'd take it that well if one of their kids or people they awoke were like, nah, I'm gonna peace out and just not do this shit, you know. I feel like that wouldn't, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I remember something from one of the recent chapters about like maybe someone was talking to like Nicolette or something. I don't know. Just it seemed like, oh yeah, just kind of going off and not practicing anymore was like an option. And I could see how it wouldn't be in a lot of the like practitioner families. And it
I may have just missed that part
for the Kenneteers, but
I mean, if that's canon, and I might have just like missed that part, I guess, when I was reading. So, but I'm just, so that may be an option, but I just don't think it's one that very many people would be able to take, in my opinion, or it would be really, but that's just unfortunately, because I feel like once you awoken, that's like a door you can't close.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe later you can point out which recent chapter it was, and I'll read back on that, because it's not ringing a bell, but I believe you.
Right. Well, yeah. And if anyone out there is like screaming at the podcast right now, please share your thoughts, and we will. It's an interesting thought of what other sorts of practitioners might look like. Slash, if any of you remember what I'm talking about.
Fair enough. You guys might be screaming like, Jenny, you need to read more thoroughly. I mean, I'm just going to use the excuse that I've got a newborn. I mean, 3-month-old, but that's new enough, you know.
She's pretty small.
And a running on 3-year-old who, as I told Malia yesterday, decided to bring the water hose inside the house to clean the kitchen. So that's the kind of things that that I'm dealing with. So that's my excuse if I'm not reading thoroughly enough. In his defense, the kitchen was very clean afterwards, after we got all the water out.
So he did a good job.
Mission accomplished. So Blake attempts to escape through a window. Rose shatters it. Blake draws a wind rune on his chest and jumps out the window, only to be foiled by the looping effect again. Duncan confronts Blake in the stairwell.
So the part where Blake, oh my god, this part was so funny. I was proud of myself. I guessed what he was doing, but when he's like standing on the window or whatever and like gonna jump out, and he's like drawing something on his chest, and he's like, I hope I remember how to do this right. I'm like, oh my god, you're drawing a fucking wind room on your goddamn chest. You gotta jump out the fucking window. And then he did.
And he did.
And it was just like Avery's shoes, and thinking about how Avery's shoes, you know, she can't use, or like, you know, she relies on them. The spirits might be like, this will be funny to fuck her up right now. And just like, all I could think of when Blake drawing a rune on his chest was like, they're gonna fuck you. But eventually it worked out. This was just like, I didn't get that he was trapped in a looping staircase, and I didn't understand that it would be like a looping window, and it was so good, and I was totally caught off guard or whatever every time. It sucks how much energy Rose loses so quickly by breaking all of these things, and it reminds me of like Gilkey and how it took so long for Gilkey to like rest and recover, and like all like that energy that he rests or that he gets from resting is spent in like 2 minutes or whatever. And luckily it's not that bad for Rose, but it does seem
pretty strenuous still.
It's huge, yeah. And it's great that she it seems like she's back. It seems like that's solved. It seems like Blake fixed it, and so that's really nice. But yeah, it's kind of just like, oh god, here's the first of several beats of like Rose losing a lot of power quickly. And Blake has lost so much power, so that means that, you know, they're all just fucked. It's great.
Yeah. Welcome to Pact.
Just like, how can there be like, I guess, I don't remember how many arcs there are. Like, how can there be like 10 more arcs of this or something? These poor people.
How mad would you be if like they died and then the protagonist switched to like the Behames?
Excuse you? I would be so mad. I mean, if they died and this protagonist switched to like Paige, I'd be devastated. But if it switched to the Behames, I can't cheer for these people. Like, maybe Sandra Duchamp, but even then, like...
It was like Laird. It's like, and then Laird, you know, sat back by the campfire and said, now, children, that's why you shouldn't dabble with demons.
Yeah, fair. Not his fault, but fair.
Is this foreshadowing? Did I spoil the book? I guess you're gonna have to find out.
I'll have to find out. Yeah, I was thinking about my first big prediction about Blake being a karmic law practitioner, and like that's already really funny to me now. Like the idea of like not being a diabolist is just like so really good. Funny. I had no idea what this book series.
I was really happy when you said that, and like everyone was really happy and said, "This is amazing."
It made sense.
This is the best prediction I've ever seen. Yeah,
so
it
much
was
sense
great.
at the time.
I mean, it did. It honestly did. And I love it.
I still don't know what karmic law is.
Well, we'll see as we go on. Maybe you'll find out by the end of the book.
I really hope so.
Otherwise, like, I don't know, maybe there'll be another book that he'll write called Plea or something. There you go. Not a bad title, right?
So good.
So good. That's right.
Cool.
All right. Next one. Blake sends Evan away, who leaves down the stairs and manages to sneak behind Duncan thanks to the looping effect. This time, Blake manages to escape by jumping out of the window, but decides to go back into the building.
Yeah, so the part where Evan is like telling Duncan how he wanted someone to help and he wanted someone to find him, and like Blake came, is so good and so awful. Like, it really establishes why Evan is doing this, and makes you just like love him so much. And like Duncan gets it. Like Duncan knows that Blake saved him, and he's still doing this. And like, that sucks. And it's like, okay, if there was some like person with the nuclear codes and they were maybe gonna hit the button at any moment or what, you know, like just like something equivalent to like being able to work with demons, but they were nice to this ghost of a child once, and your whole family is like, no, but keep him in this building. Like, you still got to keep him in the building.
Yeah.
But it's still like, it's just the fact that they're like using, or the fact that he's using this thing of Blake maybe having murdered Evan as a justification for keeping them there, while simultaneously knowing that Blake not only did not kill him, but has like literally saved his soul, is so frustrating. Yeah.
It straight up sucks, man.
Yeah. God. And then Evan comes back because she's like, no, leave, please. Like, Evan, leave.
Yeah.
And then Evan goes down the stairs, and then he comes up at the top of the stairs, which was so good. I liked it. That was going to happen at all. And I'm like, oh, Duncan, you played yourself.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And then I wonder, it's like, I don't know if Blake realized in that moment that would happen, because, like, I didn't. And it seems like a thing that Blake might realize, like, Wild Bow protagonists are pretty smart. And also existing in the scene where they ran up and down the stairs a whole bunch. But he doesn't think about it. And I kind of think that, like, he was literally like, no, Evan, please go away. I don't want you to get hurt. And then Evan's like, oh, I can scream now. And it was so great. But yeah, I think that the Behames, or like, it's like, I think that Duncan is not doing evil in this situation, but also he sucks.
Yeah. He straight up sucks, but, you know, it just...
But I do think that, like, Blake fulfilling the deal with Conquest is less bad than Blake being Conquest's bitch for all of eternity or whatever. Like, I think that, like, Blake getting out is less evil for the world than Blake staying in jail. But obviously, like, it's like the Behames can't trust Blake because they don't know him and Diablo. So
yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It does.
Unrelated to what I was just talking about, I'm curious about if there's something to Blake and Evan and their relationship that was, like, special in some way. So, like, when he's losing it, and he sees the feathers and he's, like, bleeding out, and, like, people in the real world are, like, kind of indistinct. Like, the two things he notes that he can see clearly are Rose, which makes sense because their connection, and then Evan, which doesn't make sense because when Blake is speaking, Evan does not hear him. And, like, that seemed interesting. And like, he's like, something about Evan being close motivated me. And it could be like, I want to save Evan. I want to be there for this child. But it's also like it seems noteworthy. And I'm like, I don't know if we'll ever actually really figure it out because they're familiars, or, you know, they've done the familiar bonded, and now it's like, we've moved to, obviously they have a super connection, but I don't know. Oh, and then the other thing about Evan not being an echo, he lands on the roof of a car with a thud. What the fuck is that? Oh, I hate your face right now. How can a ghost land on a thing with a thud? It can't.
I mean,
you
already said he's not a normal echo.
I know, but ghosts, like, souls don't have corporeal forms that can land on things with echoes, with noises. That's
before the familiar ritual.
This is before the familiar ritual.
Yeah.
So he jumps out of the roof after Blake flies out with his wind room, and where Blake's like, oh, I'm gonna have to climb over that thing and with the car, and then Evan does it, and he lands on it with a thud, and I'm like, that's not possible.
So, like, this is again kind of comparing, like, to the opposite of Evan, but, like, I don't know, if you think about, like, in Pale, when we've seen some of those echoes get really strong when they're feeding off of people, like the one that, like, was talking to Verona and ended up attacking Verona, it's like, you can still get hurt by an echo, right? Like, physically. And obviously Evan's not going to do that, but maybe it's the same kind of thing ish.
If he has more power from being around his body or being around Blake or both, he takes on more of a, like, actual physical form.
Yeah, or at least can
that honestly makes
physically.
sense.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, okay, that does make sense. I was just like,
okay, that's good.
How did that?
That's fair. Like, what the fuck is happening?
And then he's like,
say, man.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, Blake is not a reliable narrator right now. Obviously, he's like, oh, I see Conquest Tower and, like, bleh. And I'm just like, what is happening? What is happening? And, like, when I see this, I picture Rose standing next to him, and keep having to be like, that's not what's happening. Like, Rose is not standing next to him. Like, it's so weird. I feel like I would very much benefit from an animated version or something of Pact, because I think that I picture most of the scenes incorrectly because Rose. And it's not Wild Bow's fault, obviously, or anything. It's literally just, like, when two characters are having a conversation, I imagine them next to each other, like, standing there speaking.
Yeah, where it's like you have to imagine, like, the reflection. It's just a little harder. Makes sense.
Right. But yeah, so then Blake's staring at the tower, and he's like, oh, the spirit world. And I'm like, is the spirit world a distinct realm that we haven't heard about yet? Because I feel like it might be. Like, I feel like Avery sort of mentioned it recently as like a distinct world, and that's cool. And what the fuck is it?
Haven't they? Yeah, like, didn't they go to the spirit world like when they were investigating the Carmine stuff?
They went to the ruins.
Yeah, but I thought they also like went to spirit world.
I remember them going to the ruins. I remember them making Alcazar, whatever that thing is, and then they did that twice. Yeah.
Google.
But recently Avery was like, what do we build shrines in the spirit world? I'm like, what the fuck is the spirit world? Is that the realms? The realms are like the sad spirit world. Like, I think, not the realms, the ruins. I think Rose is talking about the ruins at the end of this chapter. Or possibly the Warrens, but I was like, he's not going into the Warrens, what the fuck?
It's like location diary. I was trying to Google spirit world. Don't do that, just in case there's spoilers for anything. But
I'm done.
Yeah, and 2.7 spoilers, location diary and Pale. They do draw the spirit world. It says, locals can't really communicate with us. Most things are very vague, plus blurry, plus transparent. Clouds, trees, fungus are hard to distinguish from one another. Mist says everyone's connections and thoughts and ideas about places and things and can help to make them solid in the spirit world. And then they anchor based on real life locations. Yeah, remember, because they were talking about how they could build shrines in the spirit world to like kind of match up to...
Right. I just...
didn't think they actually had been there.
Didn't realize that was another, like, an actual plane or whatever.
Okay.
But that's cool and feels like something we're gonna get in this story because we haven't gotten it much in Pale, which is how
If you had to pick a realm, I mean, I feel like you're probably going to say spirit world because we're talking about this, so this isn't that sneaky. But if you had to pick a realm of like that Blake would go to next, what do you think he would do? And then if you say spirit world, pick the second best one as well. Or yeah, pick your top two, I guess.
So I guess the realms that I can think of off the top of my head would be the spirit world, the ruins, the Warrens, the abyss, and then like Fae ? Wherever fairies live. Feyland. And then the paths, which he's not going to go to the paths. I'm almost positive. That feels
hilarious
like
if that was the first one.
But I would be very wrong. But
is it because you think like he needs more knowledge from people to go to the paths, or like I'm just curious?
It's like I don't think Wildbow had really
fleshed it out
right
by this point.
Had either like straight up not thought about it or had not fleshed it out because we spend so much time with them in Pale, and Avery really explores them in a way that I feel like Blake's not gonna be a finder, or a path runner, and it just doesn't. It feels different. I don't know.
So, out of those realms that you mentioned, do you think he's gonna visit any of them, or all of them, or none of them?
Oh, like hell might be a dimension.
Imagine like Blake goes straight to hell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like demons don't necessarily live in the abyss, which is the only other place I could think of for them. I mean, Rose seems to be talking about the ruins. I feel like the spirit world, or maybe the ruins.
Okay. So you're not.
I could see him getting dragged into a goblin hole. No, I think there's a decent chance we'll go to hell or whatever by the end of the story, but it doesn't feel like the first place you're gonna go.
The first stop. You're gonna make a couple realms. Just you're gonna get ease yourself into hell.
Right.
That's very nice. So, well, I mean, you think Blake's gonna ease into anything though?
That man. I think he's not. I think he doesn't want to be like this. He just what choice does he have?
So Spirit World and what was the other one you said? Sorry.
Maybe the ruins.
Okay. Any reason for that in particular, or just like that's just your vibes you're getting?
I mean it seems like Blake is currently like partway-ish into the spirit world right now.
Okay.
And at the end of this, Rose is talking about the ruins. Almost positive. Yeah.
Do you actually think that hell is another one, or are you just kind of like saying because that's where your mind goes to when you think of demons?
I don't know if it's called hell, but I think that I feel like I don't know enough about the abyss, but they don't talk about in Pale when they mention abyssal things. They're not. I don't think they're talking about demons. That seems separate and worse. So I think that there is somewhere where demons exist, and I think that there's somewhere where angels exist. And they're not necessarily heaven and hell.
What is this is like not coming from a place where I'm saying like I think any differently than you, but you know, I have to be stuff. But like what is like based on Pale, what's your view of like what the abyss is like or abyssal things?
So it's like
So we haven't really seen that much, I don't think, right?
No, there was the beast that came into Kennet that they were fighting. That was part abyssal, I think. And then there's the Edith's lantern that she gets from the people at the edge of the pit. And then does Reed get himself abyssalified?
I think they were kind of saying that.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
I picture like darkness and pits and was the one, I don't remember his name, one of the contestants, the dad who was like living in the cage inside of his son.
Oh yeah.
Was that abyssal?
I think so.
Yeah, I get like black and purple vibes from the abyss, whereas like hell I get like red and orange and
red
brown
and orange
vibes.
And if you go to the Warrens, you just get like brown,
just brown,
and black and
like gross green. Yeah, because like to me, demons like.
Do you think it depends on the type?
Mummy thing?
What if there's like different demons depending on like which realm you're at?
I feel like my mind broke a little bit. I mean, I guess the abyss could have a lot of different sections. So there could be the abyss parts that are like more tame, and the abyss parts that are like, well, okay, so like there was the guy in the cage with his abyss son, and then there was like the tiny little piece of whatever that was in the familiar of the one girl who like had to be put down, and that was demonic. And so like demonic just seems on like an incredibly higher magnitude than the abyss. Although it did take like all of them to defeat that one abyssal thingy, but that was still an entire creature as opposed to a tiny little piece of a thing inside of another thing.
So spirit world and ruins. Okay. Why not? Or do you think Warrens would be close after that or not really?
I mean, I could see like him and Maggie are up to shenanigans and they need an escape and like kind of go through the Warrens or like accidentally wind up there. So that could totally be a factor in things that are happening, but I don't see it as like if they go to the spirit world, I mean, either Blake will wind up there because he's stripped himself of himself and has totally fucked up, or it'll be more of an intentional thing. Like with the ruins, I feel like going to one of those places would be more of a choice, whereas the Warrens would be like, oh fuck, kind of a thing.
Okay. Well, thank you for indulging me. I was curious what your thoughts were.
Sure.
Again, anything I've said does not necessarily reflect how this book actually goes. It could just be me. Just keep that in mind. So
that's fair.
Try not to use that unless you want to use it to further your bold and specific predictions, because that could be entertaining. But all right. So Evan leads Blake and Rose to his body. Evan and Blake do the familiar ritual. I can't speak. With the help of Rose, who holds up a book for them to read from.
Yeah, I totally thought he was going in for June when Rose was like, oh, we're going back for June. And he's like, oh, maybe that too. And I was like, what? I didn't realize. I mean, because he'd asked Evan, but it makes total sense that like Evan can't really get far away from his body. And they need to do this now. But I just like didn't expect it. So that was really exciting. And I was really impressed that Rose realizes what Blake wants to do before he even says it, and she's like, he's a child, or whatever, but then she goes on with it or something, I don't know. And their little argument where he's like, I'm not really myself right now, Rose, and she's like, is this Blake Thorburn with all the flesh and mortal warmth bled away? And I'm like, maybe, I guess, because like if I was me with all the flesh and mortal warmth bled away, I don't think I'd necessarily be like myself, you know? Like, is this Blake Thorburn, but like without any of the traits that make him a good person? Like, sure.
Like fuck you, man.
I mean, like, yeah, if you take away all the good things about someone and just leave a bunch of shitty things, sure, they're a shitty person. Like, what are you saying? Like, fuck off, Rose.
Yeah.
But it is like, it seems like Duncan later not being completely totally gainsaid because he's like part of you left but not fully, like the spirits are confused kind of a thing, was really interesting. And so no, Rose, I don't think, like, I think that Blake is not fully himself right now.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then I felt what
Sorry, but by the way, just like another thing of like, damn it, Rose, what the fuck are you saying? Earlier in this, earlier in actually, yeah, I think it's coming. I take it back. It's not earlier on. I think it might be coming on. So maybe I'm saying this too early. Actually,
no, but go for it.
I'll go for it. I think when Blake gets like caught again or something, or when Evan ends up flying back to Blake after stealing Duncan's shit or something, and the cops kind of look at the bird, and Blake's like, I collect birds, and then later on, which is kind of hilarious, by the way.
It's so awkward.
But then Rose is like, do you actually collect birds, or was that a lie? And I was like, what if he hadn't been fucking collecting birds? You're gonna fucking drain his power? You're gonna really call him on that shit?
Him. Like, what are
fucking
you doing?
idiot. Like, you're supposed to be the smart one. He's the one who lost all the fucking blood. Why are you gonna gainsay him? Like, that's stupid as fuck. Anyway, that's I just had to say that. It's kind of
that was that was obnoxious. God damn it, Rose. Okay. But yeah, then Evan finally speaks the words that I have been waiting for the story to fucking say. Where Blake's like, yeah, be my familiar. And Evan's like, why not that girl? And I'm like, thank you. Thank you, someone, for actually addressing this in this story. Again, I'm not he totally should have picked Rose. I think this is a much better decision. I get it. I'm very happy. But I wanted this to be addressed as hi, this was an option. And and then he's like, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. And I'm like, she's right there. This is really awkward. And I don't think she'd like it being his familiar, but I don't know. It just it's so harsh that it doesn't feel right. That just feels sad.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's really has enough in him to be filled with tact right now, Yeah. I feel like that was
he wasn't oh, we fucking hate each other or whatever. But
it's probably a couple pints of blood ago,
It just felt hard.
That's fair.
Oh my god! And then when I guess I don't remember exactly how old Evan is, if he's 8 or 10 or whatever. But she's like, "Can you read?" And I was like, "Bet she can read." And then not only can he read, he can read backwards. That's impressive.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Lay off. Yeah. But yeah, I guess we could talk about the ritual itself.
Sure.
I thought it was really, I mean, just picturing it, it's you're in a morgue almost. You're in a medical examiner's office, and there's the corpse of a young child who has been autopsied, and you've opened it up and you're standing there next to him, but you're not looking at it, or you're facing a reflective surface, standing next to a small child who's also facing that reflective surface, reading from a book backwards that this woman is holding up. It's absolutely bonkers. Oh, and then he draws a circle in hand soap, which was really fucking great. I didn't go back to check all the different types of circles that you can draw with the familiar ritual. I mean, I remember that Avery and Snowdrop didn't draw a diagram, and this one doesn't seem entirely insidious, but it is just Evan in a circle and not Blake as well. And I'm worried that that's going to fuck them up somehow, but honestly, no one's going to live long enough for this to matter. So
that's the spirit.
Whatever. It's just
they're all going to hell.
Evan better not go to hell. I'm gonna be so mad. But it's just another example of how disadvantaged Blake and Rose are from not having someone to help them. They're doing the best that they can, but they don't have, they don't have the help or the knowledge to be able to make educated, informed decisions. To be able to say, this is the type of diagram I want, and this is why. These are the type of words I want to say, and this is why. It's just sort of, I mean, Blake does choose things in this. He does improvise a little bit, which is nice. But again, it doesn't seem like there was anything really nefarious going on in here. It felt like a fairly equitable relationship that they were drawing, but it was weird after seeing Avery and Snowdrop. And how planned and thought out and how much they understood about what was happening.
You could argue, though, in a lot of ways it was kind of similar to Avery and Snowdrop, probably compared to a lot of other, most other familiar rituals in terms of like more of a partnership, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And a friendship.
Yes, and a friendship.
Blake says, I give you, Evan, my friendship. And I was like, it's so cute. Like, they have they have strong relationships, and they're cementing those. And yeah, it was relatively simple. The promises seemed fairly good and straightforward, but I just wonder, like, I'm like nervous that this will somehow fuck something up because they weren't able to make informed decisions.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. The part where they're like maybe in the spirit world or like something is happening where like there's the two halves where like Blake's side is like it's snowing and there's street lights. Or no, sorry, Blake's side it's raining and there's street lights, and then Evan's side it's snowing and there's like trees, and it's like definitions of who they are. Blake is a homeless youth, and Evan, like it's like them in possibly the worst situation of their lives, which I find really interesting, but also seemed fairly definitional for those characters. And I don't really understand why that wasn't what was happening. The darkness, the precipitation, being outdoors, it being cold were really fascinating. I liked that those parallels were there. But I was like, what is happening? But it was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess the last thing about the ritual is they don't talk about his animal form. Like Snowdrop was going to become a possum, so that just like wasn't discussed. But Blake, like they don't talk about it. It's never like spoken as part of the ritual, but like the letter or whatever was explicitly like, don't let your familiar become a dog or a rat.
Yeah.
And so you think like, because I could see like, I could see Evan becoming a dog as a familiar. He's like super cute, super loyal, young. He's the two of the things he promises at the end are like to offer protection and to find things, like dog, like going out and smelling and finding things and bringing it back, and also like guarding, like protection. Like I was like very much like these give me like cute fun dog energy, and it's surprising to me that like they didn't talk about it, and it's just like I am bird, and it's like, is that just because Blake is so much of a bird? Does Evan like birds?
Could be.
Did we talk about this? Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it was just like Blake, but also like bird flying, freedom, away from being and like escape.
Yeah.
You're previously running in the freezing ground, trying to climb trees and stuff.
Sure, yeah. And yeah, I mean it like makes sense, but there was no discussion, and that was surprising. And then at the end when Evan like looks at Rose before he officially says the thing, that was interesting. I'm like, did you want to make sure that Rose was definitely cool with it? Is she still the like powerhouse in this trio relationship thing now? As the voice of the practitioner or whatever. It was interesting. And like I think a good thing, but I don't know.
Random question for you. Because you were talking about earlier about I guess like Evan consenting to this ritual, and I was kind of curious, like I guess about consent, like the ability to consent. In medicine, at least, like you have to try to look for like if your patient's ANO times 4, so alert to you basically have to ask them like, do you know what your name is and what your birthday are, so like who you are, what day it is, where you are, like so the situation, and usually ask them like, do you know who the president is, or do you know something like that, to kind of figure out what the hell is, just make sure that like they're in the right frame of mind.
Sure.
So yeah, alert and oriented to person, place, time, and situation, essentially. So that's pretty common in the medical field. And if they're not ANO times 4, then they're not able to consent for themselves. You have to have someone else consent for. But I don't know how long that's been around for in terms of legality. Because I know like spirits and everything like that. If that had been around for like a really, really long time, then maybe that would be more important for like consenting for rituals or anything. But like, what do you think is important? I mean, do you think that there are others that like are not able to consent to one of these rituals?
I mean, I think there's probably a lot of coercion, and I think that the spirits would not care. Coercion wouldn't be a defense, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know. In some ways, I wonder if Cherry Pop can consent. Like to certain things, maybe, but she can't. She isn't able to conceptualize how long it's been since she last saw Snowdrop. Which seems like a problem.
I mean, you can still be really, really stupid and be able to consent.
Right. But just in a I don't know if Cherry Pop would understand what she was agreeing to. Which I think is an important part of being able to consent.
Hopefully you would, yeah.
And I think that June really did consent. Even though she's not very substantial. She's the manifestation of an emotionally powerful moment. So she has trouble both with expressing consent and possibly actually being able to, but she was able to. I feel like most others, I'm having a hard time imagining an other that isn't sentient. I don't know.
That'd be hard to think on. Yeah, be hard to think about. Okay, yeah, I was just curious on your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I think it's a really good thing to do, and I think that yeah, it's important and tricky, but I don't know.
That's fair. All right, next part. So they finish the ritual and they try to escape again. Evan flies out of a window, but Blake is caught by Duncan, who gets other officers to capture Blake and lead him to a cell. Blake signals to Rose to activate June, causing Duncan to drop his jacket. Evan flies back in after Rose convinces him that he is still alive and helps Blake uncover some increment.
I thought it was funny that Duncan didn't know what they did. Because Evan flew out the window before Duncan came, so he has no idea what happened. He just knows something powerful is happening. And I think it's, nice that Blake is kind of I was helping him move on or whatever. And I liked that as a part of the ritual, I guess. And Evan did agree to it, but the whole okay, when I die, you have to move on. I liked that, I think. But yeah, the whole, I need this reminder, Wild Bow, so thank you. I need the whole, Blake, you're draining yourself of yourself, and that means that things are going to come inside you. Even though I've read this with Nicolette, and even though, we've already talked about this with Blake, it is nice to have, that reminder. But he seems really surprised by this concept, even though he's been worried about his, pale skin and what am I filling myself with for arcs now. And so I was a little surprised. I guess he's kind of out of it, but I was just yeah, Blake, you knew this would happen. And I'm what's in him? Is it already in there? Are we already fucked? So interesting. And I was thinking, if Duncan turned back time, would that undo the familiar ritual? Because Blake remembered everything that happened and Duncan remembered everything that happened. Evan didn't? Maybe he did. I don't remember.
That's a good question. I don't know if he would.
People outside didn't. The Knights of the whatever, I don't think did. Yeah. But I think the spirits would remember.
They might.
Yeah. And this part was just sort of interesting. With the it seems like Blake was getting more lucid, but I don't understand how that was happening unless I guess he's being filled up with other stuff. But he's also not lucid enough to understand that all these people think that he's an addict and in withdrawals. But also he's I need the door to be open because of Evan, I think. But then he also, maybe that was just it, where he was I need cold air so that I need the door to be open so that Evan can come back. But he was oh yeah, activating June, good idea. And I was what are you talking about? Anyway, well,
I think also may have given a good excuse for the cold to come in if the doors were open, but
protect some of the innocence or whatever. Yeah,
possibly. Yeah.
God, and then so there was deranged Duncan with the spray paint on the bulletin board or whatever with the diagram, and that was great. And then he's just no, I'm just gonna fucking shoot you, and and everyone's whoa, I don't know, it was just great. God, and the I collect birds. I was Blake, just shut up. Please, Blake, shut up. Just don't talk. Just don't say anything else.
I know why he said it though, because otherwise it's kind of weird for this crazy ass addict guy to just have a bird fly up and land on his shoulder like Snow White, Because at least if he's yeah, I collect birds, alluding that he trains them or something, it's not just, it's a little bit less of a what the fuck. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever. He's not going to think that carefully about it right now. He's losing his damn mind.
Yeah, it was really funny.
All right, our next part. Evan has stolen something important from Duncan, who cannot turn back time again. Blake's 3-beat victory means that he is let go, with promises to return tomorrow to the police station. Before he does, he needs to capture an abstract demon and deal with a freed imp.
God. And then, so like the hair is gone from the locket, his glamour, but like...
What a bummer, right?
I'm just... But then there's some sort of black crust in the locker, and I'm like, is that supposed to be hope? Like, is that supposed to be glamour?
Disgusting residue.
Unclear. I also, did he get his stuff back? Did he get June back? I like don't actually know, because like Evan brings him one of those charms, which means he can't turn back time again or whatever. But did he get all of his shit back from the police? It doesn't really say that he did, but also I mean, I hope so.
I think he did.
It seems like he should have. But I also can't believe that Blake was like, if you let me go, I'll come back tomorrow, like in exchange for my complete and total cooperation. I was like, Blake, you can't completely and totally cooperate. Like, what the fuck? You can't, unless you want to assume responsibility for the loss of innocence of whoever the fuck you're talking to. You can't cooperate totally. I just, this man.
I mean, yeah, again, he's just not thinking super clearly. So, but yeah, good point.
Oh my god, and then at the end, she tries to gainsay him again, Rose, where, oh no, this is the opposite. Blake tries to gainsay Rose, where, Blake's like, oh, the forest was real hard, and she's like, I can imagine, or the splinter is really scary, and she's like, I can imagine, and he's like, I'm not sure you can. And I'm like, bitch, just stop fucking one-upping each other.
Stop doing that to each other. It's your life's
yeah,
it's like your life's fucking hard enough. You already don't have power. Stop doing that shit.
Just let her have it. Just, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the end of this chapter, I was like, I'm trying to remember the other thing that was like, oh fuck. It's like, one, I hope his friends don't hate him, and that's really upsetting. Like, Joel was already concerned about him, and I think Joel might be able to be like, yeah, my friend snapped and murdered a child, and that's really sad. Thing two was like, fuck, I forgot about Pose. I totally forgot.
That Poos.
And then thing three, Poos. Totally forgot. Okay. And then thing three was like, oh my god, you have less than 6 hours to get the splitter. Ah!
Yeah. It's gonna go great. Yeah.
Fuck.
I mean, that would be shocking if it did, though, right? If it was like everything
really, really well.
Everything snapped into place. Like,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
He needs a little victory sometimes.
Oh yeah, he definitely does.
He got out of the police station.
He did. That means something, right?
It means something.
It's gotta mean something. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to keep reading real bad.
We're getting there. We're getting real close. Almost there, Malia. Let's see here. All right. That's that. That was a really long pause. I don't know why I paused that long, but I was trying to be dramatic. So we are going to talk about our pale in comparison section. Familiar rituals. So we kind of talked about that a little bit, but yeah, the Evan and Snowdrop, very different, but also pretty
very
similar.
Same.
Yes. Yep. It's like, obviously Avery and Snowdrop had a lot more time to plan. So they didn't really do anything super fancy. But it was a bond and friendship. We're just like Blake and Evans, bond and friendship, but a very rushed bond and friendship in front of a dead body. But, you know, like, whereas, yeah, it just, yeah, even if you just look at like the locations, like the really super funny. Cool path with like all their friends and just surrounded by people like,
and
exactly, just like community
you
support.
Cute outfits that you planned out.
You got to accessorize and like it's just amazing, heartfelt. On the other hand, bleeding to death, running for your life in this weird ass police station with a dead body. And
you're
trying
like, to sister sort of who like is totally disapproving of the whole situation. Like
yeah. And definitely no friends anywhere nearby. Seeing your familiar look like their neck snapped like immediately afterwards, which is great.
I mean, literally his neck snapped. It was horrible.
Yeah,
I was like, I didn't even want to talk about it. I was like, that is a child. You know it's a child. It's a child. You're just horrible.
You're horrible. And you know this child died terribly, and you just killed him again, even though he didn't die, but you tried to. So fuck your face.
Yep.
I know. It's pretty jacked. Whereas, Snowdrop, get all the goblins and all the lost, and it's heartwarming. And now, just it's like, this is so nice. And this cool train thing, like station, it's so good. It's so nice. Everyone's happy.
Yeah. I do feel like there are a lot of parallels just between them as characters. I mean, they're both children. They're both, adorable and small and have like seemingly unconditional love for the person they end up bonding with. They both, they both did a lot to save their person from harm/death when they first met. Evan reminds Blake a lot of himself, and Snowdrop is literally a part of Avery. And I guess we don't know if he likes sleeping all the time, and he doesn't currently have the fun t-shirt power. But
that's true.
I don't know. Yeah, something about their friendship and their...
What kind of... do you think he's going to be able to change his bird form, or is he stuck to one type of bird form?
I sort of figured that familiars stayed the way they are when they do the thing.
Sure.
It seems kind of like a bummer, but I don't know. I feel like if you're like, now you're a hawk, now you're an ostrich, now you're whatever, like feels a little key.
Do you think like you could, just hypothetically, right? So like if you were a practitioner and you found some super cool like spirit or whatever to be your familiar, do you think if you convinced it somehow to like take the form of a Ditto, would it be able to turn into anything, or you think it would just be a Ditto blob?
See, that's a really interesting question. Does the animal shape of the familiar... Well, like, one, why did they even have an animal shape? What even is up with that? Why do they have to have that? And then two, does it have to be an animal that exists in real life?
That's
because
true.
If not, why not a Pokemon?
Why not a Pokemon? Exactly. I mean, honestly, even if it does technically have to be, it's like, if you're a Ditto and can turn into anything, because like if it's supposed to be protecting innocence, a Ditto could turn into anything. So you could have it turn into a cat. You could have it turn into a 3-year-old that you could say you're babysitting, You could have it turn into a parakeet or an ostrich.
Well, like it just occurred to me that like when Evan turns into not bird form, he might not, like, I was like, oh, he's just going to turn back into like a normal child that people can see and interact with, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he turns back into like Ghost Evan. I feel like a Ditto familiar is too OP. Although maybe if you have a familiar that inherently is some sort of shapeshifter, that would be acceptable.
That's true. But then, like, could you be like, if you pick a familiar that turns like an octopus, where like they could still like, blend in with their surroundings? They could
octopus
still like
familiar
hide.
Would be cool.
That'd be pretty sweet.
I thought of a discussion question. It's awesome. Kind of maybe lame, but yeah.
Hashtag no judgment.
Okay. / I don't remember if you've already asked it, but
no, who knows? Maybe it's a good one to do again or whatever. If you had a Pokemon familiar that was a Ditto, I feel like that could be a discussion question too. Which Pokemon would you like shape? Would you, if you had to choose one, like what Pokemon would your familiar like take shape as?
That's a pretty good one.
And could it do attacks? And would you have to call
and
out
which
like
4 attacks? We didn't know.
Yes.
Or abilities.
Like, June, Ice Blast. I don't know.
I feel like Rose practically has to do that with June. So
pretty much, yeah. What Pokemon would June be? Is there first obvious thing would be like, well, obviously something ice related or frozen related, right?
Yeah.
But knowing Pokemon, and I'm not like super versed these days, there's probably an axe Pokemon.
Honestly, yeah.
Is there an axe Pokemon?
I don't know, but there's like a washing machine one and like an ice cream one.
There's Axew. Probably not pronouncing that right. AXEW. That does not look like an axe.
There's a Pokemon called Cleaver.
Cleaver!
And it's like a bird-looking thing, and it has arms, and they are axes.
What?
But it's a bug rock Pokemon. So if you could get an ice Cleaver.
An ice Cleaver.
Maybe that one. That's possible.
Or do you think it would be a fire axe except an ice axe? What kind of ice Pokemon would June be? Is she going to be the ice cream? Probably not.
No. Fuck no.
No, I don't think so.
She's not that happy.
She's not that happy. That's true. Let's see. I'm just gonna say probably not something super like cute and silly, right? They've got one called Smoochum. That's not it.
What?
It's apparently an ice psychic Pokemon. Maybe is that like the one that Jinx? It evolves into Jinx. That's hilarious. Okay. I feel like after watching Arcane, Jinx is giving me different vibes altogether.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, and I was like, oh.
Like, yeah, not that Jinx.
There's one called Ice Cube. It's a penguin Pokemon, but its head is a ice cube.
Ice Cube. Oh, fuck.
It's a penguin. It's EISCUE.
Wow.
It's really cute.
Did they have a Shave Ice Pokemon? That's like the next.
Maybe the Aeolian form of the ice cream one.
We're just like
a lot of these are fuck. I'm sorry at everyone. Forms of like the Alolan Sandshrew
is.
I've never said it out loud. The Alola, the Hawaii Pokemon are different.
Ah, yes. Okay, what? Sorry, I'm looking at this Ice Cube, the penguin with the ice block on its head. It has an ability called Ice Face. That's the signature ability of Ice Cube.
I need it. What gen is this? I need to play this game.
It is
Gen 8.
Yes.
Fuck.
So
what game was that?
I don't know, but
Pokemon Shield. Okay, I'm gonna play it.
Oh shoot, I have that too. Actually, I haven't found. All right. Well, when an Ice Cube that's in its Ice Face form is hit by a physical move, it takes no damage and changes into its Noice Face.
No,
spelled like Noice.
God.
So I guess
Pokemon
no ice,
people,
but like
they just don't fucking care.
Face. Ice face to Noice face.
Oh my, they literally care.
They don't. They're like, we're gonna get money from this, and it's hilarious.
Oh my god.
Smoochum. Yeah, I'm like, really?
I like Frostlass. Maybe she'd be Frostlass.
Because that's a ghost. It has to be an ice ghost. That's a good point, actually. Is that the only ice ghost? That's all I can see on the Wikipedia thing. Ice ghost. That might be it. You might have called it.
Maybe we found her.
You found her. Frostlass. Evolves from a female Snorunt when exposed to a Dawnstone. Looking very coy in the random Bulbapedia picture, which is hilarious.
She does have her arm like,
Yeah, like up by her mouth, like, which is just special. Does she have ice face? I don't think so.
Or Noice face. She has Noice face.
Noice. It's like I don't know, it reminds me of like a surfer bro.
Noice. It reminds me of Jake Peralta from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You should see that if you haven't.
I haven't seen much of it, but from what little I have, yes.
Yeah, I haven't finished it. It's on my list.
It's such a good show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I haven't seen that much of it, but I do love it. It's hilarious. All right, well, that kind of went off the rails.
Right back to the show.
Like it normally does. So you guys were kind of getting worried, I know, because you're like, this has been too straight on for too long. So
yeah, we were pretty good this episode. I feel like what would be the pale in comparison bingo? It'd be like Disney story, Pokemon,
Christmas,
Malia dying laughing Christmas, a nurse story, a law fact,
some kind of mom story.
Yeah.
A child story for me. Talking about my kids. Yeah.
Malia directly asking Wildbow for a personal favor.
And him rightfully ignoring. Doesn't stop us from trying.
And then the whole we were talking about pickles, and then one of the next chapters he writes specifically mentions deep fried pickles.
I know. I was like, okay, I know he secretly was inspired. I mean, I know he's not ever going to admit it.
At least subconsciously.
Subconsciously. I mean, yeah, like I almost wrote that on Discord, but then I was like, I'm gonna let it lie. I'm just gonna know it in my heart, and I'm glad that you noticed that, Malia, because that's precisely what I thought. I was like, deep fried pickles.
Well, I noticed it and I was like, huh, weird. And then someone in the Discord was like, haha, is this their first definite influence on the story? And I don't know that it was a definite influence, but it was pretty funny.
I feel like there's another time where we may have had an influence on the story that was mentioned in Discord, but I don't remember what it was.
There was a Splinter thing, but Wildbow explicitly said that was not true.
Oh, well,
and I think there might have been one other thing, but I don't remember.
Okay. I mean, I get that. It's probably not, because that's probably giving ourselves a lot more credit than we deserve. But
we'll take it.
Fun to think about. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna be happy and imagine the pickle thing, because I'm like, I don't know if we talked about deep fried pickles. I mean, I like deep fried pickles.
I don't think,
but they're too much. They're good, but like I can only eat like a couple of them, and so I'm like, it feels like a waste unless you have a ton of people that you're eating with, because I can really only maybe eat like 3 or 4 like of the little pickle bits, because they're just so like salty and briny. It's too much almost,
Well, I was surprised when Avery was like, because I don't think she was explicitly eating at that place Sheridan likes, because that would make sense. But she was like, I had cheesy poutine and deep fried pickles. And I'm like, that's a lot. Like, that's a lot of heavy food for you to just casually eat and then talk shit to Sheridan about the things that she likes eating. Like, I'm like, is what Sheridan eats actually that ridiculous? Or did you go to the same place? Because, man.
Maybe Thunder Bay is starting to rub off, I don't know, on her. But she's exercising a lot still. But, I don't know.
It's fun thinking of vegetarian fast food, though, because I feel like it is really hard for it's really hard to find vegetarian fast food options. So that was a fun little example.
Fair.
Of something that sounded pretty yummy.
It does. It just is like holy brine, I don't know.
Just holy brine.
Holy brine. Killing Malia slowly. Killing me softly.
One day I'm not going to be sick, y'all. It's going to be amazing. Okay.
Hopefully it will happen before Christmas. And then you can sing your Christmas carols and go in Atlanta and go with Ben door to door, just knocking and singing Christmas carols to just random people in Atlanta.
So his aunt actually holds a caroling party every year.
Oh, does she really? I was kidding.
Yeah,
That's
a couple days before Christmas, and like I'm really excited about it. And so we're leaving Monday to drive there, like so that we can make it to this party. Because I'm pretty sure like maybe we wouldn't go until closer to Christmas, because we want to relax and we want to clean our apartment, which is horrible. But it's like, nope, we gotta go because we gotta get to this caroling party. I'm very excited.
So wait, what does that consist of? Just like standing around a piano?
That's what I'm envisioning. Is like there will be some sort of alcohol and maybe some like cookies or hors d'oeuvres or something, and we will all stand around a piano and sing while someone plays it. I have no idea.
Do you think they go to door after to share the cheer? Or no, not at all.
I didn't think so, but I don't know.
Okay.
If I remember, I'll update y'all.
Have you ever gone door to door for stuff?
I mean, like, we would drive around in the minivan and crank up the music and sing real loud with Mom, but I don't remember.
That's
like
true. We didn't. I think we
might
have
have around doing it.
We might have done
for like Girl Scouts or something once
in Holly Makua, I think.
Yeah,
it's like an old folks home. Just to
I remember that.
I think that
with church or something.
Church or Girl Scouts, one of those. I don't remember, but
But I don't remember walking like literally door to door in a neighborhood and doing it. Serena and I, when we were doing like we were doing like bell ringing for Salvation Army before I knew that they were like transphobic.
They're transphobic? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, I need to know more about this. What?
They
like TLDR.
I want to get my facts right.
Fair enough. I guess this is something I could Google, but I'm just like, I did not realize that they were transphobic.
I think they've like do things that help queer people sort of, but also have a long history of being transphobic. I found this article on Vox that's like they're trying to be better and yet they like refuse to comply with San Francisco's laws safeguarding same-sex domestic partners in the 90s, and they tried to strike a deal in 2001 that would have allowed religious charities to discriminate against gay people, even though they received federal funding. I feel like there's specific trans stuff, but
it's not in that article exactly.
Right.
Huh. Well, hopefully they start trying to be actually better, because that doesn't sound very good.
Yeah, I think I remember them not helping our housing, or like hearing about them not being good with that. But
that's lousy.
Caroling was fun, and bell ringing was fun, even if
I had a thought and then I froze. My brain froze. It happens sometimes. Now I want to give Vitalis and the kids eventually, when they're actually old enough to do it, into caroling more. So Vitalis is not like a he's just not much of a singer or musical guy. Whereas I totally am for it, you know. Miko does have a big cowbell that he like loves to ring. So that could be it, you know.
Just gotta get him on beat.
Like, that's right. Like, jingle bells, go Miko. He's like, you know. Oh man. All right. It is time, finally, for Malia's bold and specific prediction.
Woo!
So,
I thought of one this time, y'all, and it's like, I'm not sure how much I definitely believe it. Like, I'm not super convinced. I also feel like there's a chance that I will / have made the exact opposite prediction at some point. But my bold and specific prediction is that Blake is going to die by the end of this story.
Okay.
I think that the promise that Evan made about moving on is a really big one, and it feels like we're going to see the consequences of that. Like, we're going to see that come to fruition, I think. Because that is a central struggle that Evan is dealing with, and he seems to be a very important character. And so it makes sense to me that we will see that by the time the story ends. And maybe it'll be some sort of like dramatic flash forward where Blake dies peacefully with Evan on his shoulder, while he's like cryptically giving his grandchildren the house or whatever the fuck. But I don't really think so. So that is my prediction.
Can you imagine like the same scene like as like Grandma Rose, except like with the cat still having the cereal for some reason, because you need the fruity cereal.
Fruity cereal downstairs. He's sitting. He has the burn on his shoulder. He has this like shit-eating little smirk on his face. His whole family's like freaking the fuck out, and he's just like, heh heh, and he just fucking dies. So good.
So good.
And Rose is for some reason there as well. Maybe the two of them sitting next to each other like, heh.
Do you think Rose, if she's still there, would have aged? So she's going to be like this old ass woman in the mirror, or she's going to be the same like youthful?
I still think Rose is going to get out.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I think time will affect almost. So.
Okay. Do you think that he's going to die close to the end of the book, or the middle of the book, or the next chapter you read?
No, I guess I'm thinking like it'll be the end of the book.
Okay.
I've been listening to a lot of Dimension 20 lately, and so the whole like, oh yeah, you can die, you just come back to life, it's whatever. Like, I don't see us switching protagonists in the middle of the story or something. I think we're gonna follow Blake to the end, and I think he's gonna die. And I'm sad.
How do you think he's gonna die? I know you said of old age, but
oh no, I don't actually think he's gonna die of old age. That was a
wishful thinking.
Sacrificing himself to prevent some sort of demon from destroying things.
Do you think there's any chance he will join the lawyers?
I mean, like, there's a chance, but like, no.
Okay.
I think there's also a chance he could be like kind of shitty by the end, but I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. We're going to go over our previous discussion question.
Woo!
So, from last week, the discussion question was, what day would be your worst time loop or best time loop? We've got 2 answers, which are both lovely. First one, Captain Rhino. They're saying the worst time loop would probably be when they're having an exam, especially if it's a subject that they hate but need a good grade in. So they're saying, what happens if this loop is the final one and I fail the exam because I bunked off to do something else rather than do the same test the 1000th time? It's like the one time you fucked off to go see a movie or whatever, then that was the time that the fucking loop ended. That would suck.
Yeah, that would suck.
That would suck. Although oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, I possibly what you were about to say, that like knowing exactly what's on the exam would help it not be stressful anymore, and maybe you could just write it real fast and leave.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You could maybe just like get through it real quick.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And then Maisie 1 says that their best loop would be getting to relive a day where they can do whatever they want, which sounds really lovely, because they could like pick different things, you know. The worst thing about it would be that they couldn't save their video game progress day by day, but they could read a whole bunch of books, maybe like when they were vacationing in Rome or something, and just like do a bunch of cool shit, which, yeah.
That's a great idea, honestly.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fun, Malia, if like we could go back to like when we were vacationing together, like in Europe, because we got to be super exciting and do that, because that was really, really fun.
Oh my god, and every day, I guess you'd have to worry about the loop ending, but every day you could just like blow all your money and eat the raclette instead of eating the convenience store bread and Nutella, because you only had enough money to eat fondue one time.
That's true. It was delicious. Although that was funny. Like we went and got fondue in Switzerland, and we ordered raclette as well, and partially like we didn't really know what raclette was. So we didn't realize that it was kind of a terrible decision to get raclette and fondue. Because it's basically like just a fuck ton of cheese. So we got them both, and of course it was so expensive we had to eat it. We had to eat them all. And it was just like delicious, but oh my goodness, so like cheese overload. And I'm sure like the waiter was like, these fat fucking Americans like these, they're just eating, like they just eat blocks of cheese apparently. Just
melted cheese.
Yes, it was delicious though, but so man, that was a lot of cheese
and money,
and money. Yes.
But then they say their worst loop would be if they were trapped in the time it took them 26 hours to fly from Sydney to London, which sounds horrible. Especially if it started 2 hours into it, you can't really escape. You're just in planes at an airport. Maybe they could hijack the plane and learn how to fly it, which I guess would be a useful skill, but they'd probably die a whole bunch of times in plane crashes.
Yeah. I think, okay, the thing is though, if you, it's an alternative to hijacking the plane. If you stopped at a couple different airports, just leave the airport, you know?
If you're
like, if you're somewhere,
maybe like somewhere cool.
Yeah, or even if you're not somewhere cool, honestly, if that's the loop you're having to do, just fucking leave the airport. You know, just because, like, you know, anything's better than staying in the damn airport. But like,
you're right.
Yeah, but like,
it sucked to start the loop at like the beginning of a 10-hour flight where you're like in the air and you're just like, god damn it.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean, hopefully it would have some movies and stuff like that anyway, so it wouldn't be like as awful as if you're like, I don't know, on a plane without any entertainment or anything. But that still really sucks. But yeah, like if you have a couple layovers, just like pick one of the layovers and like get off. Just leave. Just leave. Go somewhere else. You know, it's still not ideal, but at least like, you get to leave the airport.
Totally.
All right, Malia, what is your idea for a discussion question?
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say, if you were a familiar, what animal form would you take and why? But I like the Pokemon thing better. I'm thinking like pick a character that we've seen from Pact or from Pale and say what their Pokemon, what form they would take if they were a familiar who took a Pokemon.
All right. I like it. Okay. I like it. Yeah, like what would Snowdrop be as a Pokemon? What would John be as a Pokemon?
He'd be that dog one. What is the dog? Fuck. Now I have to Google it. Dog Pokemon.
Poochyena?
The one that looks like a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler or whatever.
Poochyena's too little too, I think.
God, what is your name? I'm looking at you. Houndoom. Or Houndour. Probably Houndoom.
He'd be one of those. And would they evolve with more experience? That's what I'm wondering about. Who knows? Good question, though.
I'm having a problem with this today.
It's all right. It's rough. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave a rating and review. To support our podcast, go to patreon.com/doofmedia. You can also check out our website at doofmedia.com to learn about all the cool shows on the Doof Network. If you'd like to support Wildbow as he continues to write fantastic stories, go to patreon.com/wildbow.
You can follow the pod on Twitter at Pale Comparison, or send us an email at paleincomparisonpod@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for our Reddit thread in r/parahumans, where you can answer our discussion question and share your thoughts on this episode. In addition, if you'd like to see all of my predictions laid out, check out our episode description for a link to a prediction tracker, which I will update
someday. All right, this week's fun fact, as we're coming up to Christmas, in fact, maybe even Christmas, or have passed Christmas, depending on when this gets released. We haven't decided if we're splitting this episode in two yet. Fun fact, you can get high on nutmeg if you use a stupidly large amount. So symptoms can include hallucinations, drowsiness, dizziness, and confusion. Can also cause organ failure and death, so do not do it. Okay? Don't get high on nutmeg. It's not fucking worth that shit.
Dad would hate that so much. Our dad
getting high on nutmeg,
Mom makes nutmeg, or not nutmeg. Mom makes eggnog that's like really, really good. And she loves at the end to get some nutmeg and like grate it over the top, and it makes her all happy. And Dad's just like, ugh, ugh. like I think recently he's been like, okay, you can do like one swipe of the nutmeg, but like in general, I don't know what it is about it, if it's like the texture or what, but he's just like, nutmeg.
So that's true. Yeah, so just so y'all know how much nutmeg is safe. According to at least this Healthline article, so most recipes call for about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, which is pretty safe. So according to the case studies from the Illinois Poison Center, even 10 grams, which is about 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, is enough to cause symptoms of toxicity. So at doses of 50 grams or more, those symptoms become more severe. Okay. And the dangers of nutmeg overdose can occur no matter the method of delivery. So inhalation or smoking is one of the fastest methods of delivery. Injecting into the vein is the fastest, and inhalation is often the second fastest. The slowest method is ingesting orally. So, yeah, just have some eggnog, or like, just have that cake, have that, Starbucks, latte or whatever.
Latte thingy,
yeah. But just don't be doing a nutmeg challenge, or don't be down in nutmeg. It's not a good plan. That would have been really bad. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea that nutmeg was dangerous.
The more you know. Nice. Yeah. Glad to educate the masses. All right. Have a happy.
Bye.